With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report Live. Now, you know what's funny is that the last episode of the Redskins Report, I dressed in all black like the Omen, and generally, if I dress in all black, that means something has went terribly wrong, whether it's a game, an injury, something somber has taken place. Well, the last video I did, there was nothing somber about it. I just happened to wear all black, and it didn't dawn on me until after the video, and I said, probably shouldn't have done that. And then somebody in the comment section said, damn, you're wearing all black already, man. That can't be a good sign. And, man, I'm going to put this one on my shoulders, man. I'm going to put this one on my back. I did this one. But honestly speaking, though, my intentions initially when I was going to do this video was supposed to be talking about the Redskins potentially landing on Hard Knocks. And we'll get to that a little bit later on. But obviously, there's some news that has superseded the Redskins potentially landing on Hard Knocks on HBO this upcoming training camp. Obviously, the news that has everyone buzzing in Redskin Nation and has a lot of fans up in arms and upset. I've even heard people talking about, we need to get rid of the entire training staff and we need a new weight and conditioning crew. No, stop. Obviously, I'm talking about Reuben Foster. And now it's been reported, and it's probably going to be confirmed in the next 16 to 20 hours or so, that Reuben Foster has in fact torn his ACL and is going to miss the entire 2019 NFL season. Some of you out there will say, well, that's karma. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Here's the thing. And before I even start, I got on black, dressed in all black like the Omen for a couple of reasons. Let me start by saying first, my condolences and my heartfelt, deepest apologies go out to my man, Tones. I know him as Tones. You probably know him as BFG Tony. You might know him as Protect Sports, Protect 428. He's got a number of different aliases, but he's a Redskin fan through and through. He's one of us. He's been in these streams. He's been one of my most loyal and staunch supporters. And he told me yesterday that his mom passed away. It's been tough for him and his family. And so all of us, I'm doing this for all of you as well. All of us here as Redskins fans and as Redskins brothers and sisters in arms, extend our deepest condolences to you and your family. And if you're out there as a Redskin fan and you know who I'm talking about, my man Tones, hey, send a prayer or two up for his family, man. And also drop a comment in the comment section of this video just telling him, hey, man, keep your head up and we're praying for you. So, hey, Tones, if you out there, man, we praying for you, bro, and you and your family, man. But talking Reuben Foster, I got three things I want to say right off the bat. Number one, there are a lot of Redskin fans out there that were saying, we need to cut the other Foster, Mason Foster. We don't need him. And I said, hey, look, man, I'll get to that in a second. I said, look, we need Mason Foster. We can't trust Reuben Foster. And this wasn't even about getting suspended, okay? I was talking about from an injury standpoint, and we'll get to that in a second. But I said, look, this is the reason the Redskins were hesitant and reluctant and haven't cut ties with Mason Foster. Because something like this, or suspension, was very plausible with Reuben Foster. That being said, number two, this is why we drafted Cole Holcomb in the draft. Now, look, Cole was supposed to be a core special teamer. He wasn't supposed to see the field in any defensive capacity whatsoever for the next year or two. And then maybe he hits the field. That was the hope. That was the thought when they drafted him in the 5th round of this draft. Well, maybe that process has to be sped up a bit. Maybe, just maybe. But this is why you take guys in the draft that you think can play, because you never know when they're going to have to see the field. That being said, we still got Mason Foster. We still got Sean Dion Hamilton. We still got two guys that we feel comfortable starting at inside linebacker. So let's pause on the Cole Holcomb talk, but just know that he's not that far away. He's one Sean Dion Hamilton, one Mason Foster misstep from potentially seeing the field. Also, remember, we still have Josh Harvey Clemens. So I don't want to push Cole Holcomb up the depth chart because of this injury, but just know the man could potentially be lurking as a guy that may have his number called sooner rather than later. And number 3, this is the third thing that I alluded to, and if you've been watching me for any amount of time, and if you've listened to me talk about Reuben Foster and the acquisition by the Redskins, before we knew if he was getting suspended or not, before we knew what his status would be, because remember, at one point, we didn't know if he would ever play a down for the Redskins, because if anything came about the investigation that was pending, then the Redskins probably were going to cut ties with him. But before any of that was resolved, I told you over and 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 over that you can't count on Reuben Foster, not because of the suspensions and not because of the off-the-field transgressions. The guy can't stay healthy. I've told you that numerous times. I said, forget about it. And listen, I've said this 1,000 times. I said, forget about the suspensions. Forget about the off-the-field transgressions with this guy. He can't stay healthy. It's the reason why he dropped out of the top 5, out of the top 10, out of the top 15, all the way to number 31 in the draft. There's a reason, or 29, wherever he went. At the end of the first round, it wasn't because of talent. The guy's uber talented. And it wasn't because of off-the-field questions. It was because this guy had an injury history. There was an issue with his neck, and teams were wary of that, and they didn't want to spend a pick on a guy that could be potentially injury-prone and be a headache off the field. It just didn't make sense. So this guy has a history of getting injured. He's been injured all throughout his career in San Francisco. He's missed, I think he's had a chance to play in a potential, I think it's 48 games or 64 games, something along those lines, where he's had a chance to play in a potential 64 games. Let's just throw out an arbitrary number because I don't know the exact number. Let's just throw out 64. That's 4 NFL seasons. I don't think he's been in the league that long. Let's call it 48. All right, I think he's been in the league 3 years. So let's call it 48 possible games that he could have played in. And I think he's only played in like 30 of them. All right, if that many. I may be giving him too many games. It may be like 26 or 24. The reason isn't because he hasn't been suspended 20 some odd games in his career. It's because he's been injured. The guy has oft been injured. So this isn't a surprise to me. It's not a shock. I wasn't all in on Reuben Foster. It sounded good. You know what this feels like to me? This feels eerily similar to when we went out and got Junior Gillette. And everybody got excited about old 53, old 58. All right. And oh man, he's doing this in practice versus Trent Williams. And he's going to do this. And he's going to help bolster our pass rush. And he tore his Achilles. Just like that, his ass was gone. And we never saw him in a Redskins uniform. It feels just like that to me. I'm not hurt. I'm not devastated by this. Because one, I didn't trust Reuben Foster from the minute we signed him. And two, this is a distinct possibility. We knew this could happen. This guy has been injury prone. And three, we haven't seen him in a Redskins uniform. I don't get attached to players that I haven't seen perform in a burgundy and gold uniform. I could care less what you've done for another organization. Case Keenum took the Minnesota Vikings to the NFC Championship game. That doesn't make one bit of difference to me. He hasn't done anything in a burgundy and gold uniform. And until I see it on the field with my own 2 eyes, guess what? I could care less. So guess what? This one doesn't really sting as much for me. I can't speak for you guys out there. This one may sting a lot for you. But for me, this one doesn't sting all that much because I never got to see the guy play a down in a Redskins uniform. So I can't miss what I never had. Okay, that's essentially how I go about these things. After Junior Gillette, really before Junior Gillette, all right, I've always went with the notion of until you do something in a burgundy and gold uniform, I really don't have any ties nor attachments to you. I could disassociate myself from you very quickly because you haven't done it for us. You may have done it somewhere else. You haven't done it for us. And I think that kind of goes back to the days of when the owner, Daniel Snyder, and Vinny Serrato were running the team, and they were getting all these aging veterans, and we would get all excited because, hey, this guy's been to 8 Pro Bowls with the Buffalo Bills. This guy's been to 2 Pro Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was an integral part of them winning the Super Bowl. This guy over here was excellent for the St. Louis Rams. He's going to come over and help us. And we bought the bait. We fell into the trap, hook, line, and sinker every time with these aging veterans that were looking for their last big payday, and we would bring them here, and they would do nothing in this uniform. And I've built up a tolerance now where if you don't perform in a Redskins uniform, I don't really have much to say. So I can say this much. It sucks as a Redskins fan. I was really looking forward to seeing Reuben Foster in the Redskins uniform. Really looking forward to seeing that kind of speed because, as I've said numerous times, and we've gotten much faster this offseason, but he was going to add to the team speed defensively. That was going to be fun to watch. But at the end of the day, I never got to see him in a Redskins uniform. And maybe he'll come back next year. Maybe we'll have to wait 2 years. Maybe he'll never play for the Redskins. Bottom line is, this does suck. But I'm not that broken up about it. I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm not that torn up about Reuben Foster not playing in 2019. It sucks. I would have loved to have seen him go out there and run around sideline to sideline with his kind of speed and impact this defense and really help. But let's be honest. That was karma, okay? Let's really be honest with ourselves, okay? He's dodged so many bullets, and I can't say we know he's guilty. He's probably guilty of something, all right? I don't want to say what, even though I, in my heart of hearts, believe I know of what. But let's be honest here. This is karma smacking him right in the face, all right? If you really thought he was going to play in 2019 and be effective, maybe you feel really downtrodden right now. And you feel really bad and you're in your feelings right now. I'm not. I'm really not, okay? So I just wanted to say that. Let me get to the comment section, though. And I just want to check out a few comments, if any, and see how you guys feel about this situation. And then I will get to Hard Knocks because I'm a little bit more fascinated with that than the news of Reuben Foster potentially tearing his ACL, which I think it's a foregone conclusion. We're going to find out that, yes, he in fact did tear his ACL. Adam Schefter is reporting he tore his ACL. If Adam's reporting it, it's probably true. It's probably true. So, in any event, Redskin Highlight says, at this point, it doesn't surprise me, and I don't really care. I kind of feel the same way you do, bro. We're probably going to be in the minority, though. We're probably going to be on the outside of that opinion. Most people are going to think we're crazy. I really am not surprised. I said it on Twitter, and I honestly don't care. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be brutally honest. Get to a couple more comments and then we'll move on. Reese says, yeah, that's tough. Tyler Pomerantz says, you think this can open up a spot for Holcomb later this year? I think this opens up a spot for Holcomb right now. Not to say, if you're talking about in a starting capacity, yeah, maybe later on in the season. Obviously, right now, the two guys that are going to start, and Reuben Foster was penciled in as a starter, and I think he was going to be penciled in as a starter next to Sean Deion Hamilton, and they were going to put that Alabama connection in the middle of this defense. I think now you're going to pencil in Mason Foster, and that's why you write these things in pencil this time of the year. Because now you erase Mason Foster's name, or excuse me, Reuben Foster, or you don't have to erase the last name. Just erase Reuben and then write in, make sure you write in pencil, write in Foster, and Mason, excuse me. And so I think you're going to see Sean Deion Hamilton and Mason Foster man up the inside now. And I think you're still going to have Josh Harvey Clemens as the next guy up in case one of those guys go down. And then I think after that, you'll see Cole Holcomb emerge on the roster in terms of the depth chart. Marcus Cook says, why can't it never be a twisted ankle or a strained hamstring? Why is something always torn or broken? You know what? I thought about that to myself. I said, you know what would be really nice is if this was just a hyperextension. That would be really nice, you know? But I said to myself, let's be honest. A, we're the Redskins. B, he's Reuben Foster. This is not a hyperextension. This is not a sprained MCL. This is a torn fill in the blank. You fill in the blank, but it's torn. Whatever it is, it's torn. I feel the same way you do as well, Marcus Cook. Why can't it be something minor? Why can't we hope for the best, expect the worst, and actually get a surprise and have it be something minor? It's always the worst with us. Andrew Shirley says, heard that it was a torn ACL plus even more artery damage. Sounds very serious. And it probably, I think it's on the lines of on a Teddy Bridgewater type of deal. I don't think it's as serious, but I think it's akin to that injury that Teddy suffered. Nonetheless, anytime you hear of something non-contact, you automatically think the worst. Let's see. And I appreciate all you guys sending out your best wishes and prayers to Tones and his family, man. I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, we created a family atmosphere and environment here for situations like this, man. You know, and so I really appreciate that for you guys. Let's see. All right. Day 44 says, what do you think of rumors of Eric Berry joining us? I don't see it happening. I wouldn't rule anything out. The Redskins could definitely be in the market for a safety. I don't know how comfortable they are with their safety position. Obviously, the news of our safety, Monte Nicholson, not being charged with anything and everything being dropped essentially because of a lack of evidence does help the Redskins in the case that they don't want to do anything. And I don't think the league is going to come down after he had everything dropped. So you'd like to think that he's going to be absolved of any wrongdoing in this situation. And you got to think that the league is going to back off now that the legal system has backed off. But we've seen the league step in and intervene after the legal system says, hey, nothing to see here, move on. And the league says, wait. We found something. We're going to suspend him. So anything can happen. He can still get a 2-game or 4-gamer from the league. You know how Raj does. Whenever he feels like wielding the NFL disciplinary sword, he does that. And that's why that's got to change in the upcoming, the new CBA that the players are going to sign after the 2021 situation. Because, frankly, it's judge, jury, and executioner all in the hands of one person. So, with that being said, let's get to Hard Knocks. And that's what I originally was coming on for, was to talk Hard Knocks. And could the Redskins potentially land on Hard Knocks? I've been running from Hard Knocks for years. I don't want any part of it. I'm torn this year because on one hand, I'd love to see the Redskins behind the scenes, and I'd love to kind of pull back the curtain a bit, get to see a little bit of, Jay Gruden, who I think is hilarious, and I think he'd be excellent on Hard Knocks. I'd love to see the development of Dwayne Haskins and Case Keenum and some of those guys that are brand new to the Redskins organization. We'd love to see some of the young guys battle to try to make the roster. We all, or you guys love Cam Sims. I can't say that I necessarily do, but he'd probably be one of the guys they'd follow, and along with a long list of other guys that have a long shot to try to make the team, like the safety JoJo McIntosh. I think that's his name. You guys have been telling me that is an undrafted rookie that they may follow trying to, crack this roster. And so I'm not going to lie, it'd probably be fun to see all of those things develop over the summer. But that being said, I don't necessarily want to see the Redskins on Hard Knocks. I don't think the Redskins, we handle those types of things well. I've been running from it personally because we're a bad football team as it is. I don't need any other distractions. We're not good enough to handle the distraction of having cameras and microphones everywhere. I'd just rather have the Redskins go about their business quietly and human-like in the offseason and try to do as good a job as they can do to prepare themselves to try and win opening week on the road versus the Eagles. And 3 out of our first 4 are against divisional opponents. And we know we got the Bears in there. We know we got the Patriots in the first 5 weeks as well. It's going to be tough enough as it is. I don't think I want any parts of Hard Knocks. I never want any parts of Hard Knocks. Let me be candid. Let me be very candid and frank. I never want any part of Hard Knocks. I like watching other teams on Hard Knocks. I think that the Raiders would be a great team to follow this year with Antonio Brown coming on board, and now Gruden's in year 2. They got Mike Mayock. I think it'd make for great television. They've got a young roster that's turning over and a lot of roster spots available. They had a bunch of draft picks. Go to Oakland. Go check out the Raiders. Leave us alone. That's how I feel. But if they were to choose the Redskins, I don't know if I'd have a problem with it, honestly speaking. I'd be excited, I think. I just don't want it. It's almost like getting something that you need You don't necessarily want it, but you know you need it. And if you get it, you're going to be excited about it, but you prefer not to get it altogether. That's sort of how I feel about Hard Knocks. Like, I know I'd love to watch it, and it'd probably be great insight. And again, you're pulling back the curtain on the behind the scenes things that go on with the Redskins. And obviously, you're only going to see what they allow you to see. They can't show anything that the Redskins don't want them to show. I'd like to think that Bruce Allen is a product of his father, who was very secretive and wanted no parts of any cameras or any media. He was always a conspiracy theorist. He always thought someone was trying to spy on his team. And so he's just like his dad. Bruce Allen talks in circles. He's very secretive. I just don't think it would make for good television necessarily. And I don't think Bruce Allen wants any part of Hard Knocks. And I don't know if I want any part of Hard Knocks. But again, if the Redskins were chosen, I wouldn't be upset. But if you had me to pick, I'd say no, go pick somebody else. Go pick on the Raiders. Go pick on somebody else. But how do you guys feel? I don't want Hard Knocks. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't want it. All right, how do you guys feel? Let's get to some more comments and then we'll get out of here. Let me touch on this. I really don't want to because it's mini camp. It's OTAs. It doesn't make one bit of difference. But Haskins reportedly looked good in minis. I don't care, okay? It's still mini camp. You're still playing essentially against guys who are just out there going through the motions. There are no pads on. This counts for much of nothing. I'm good, okay? I really, like, if you're looking for me to break down days 1, 2, and 3 a mini, you got the wrong guy. I really don't care. Until we get to training camp, that's when I'll start to care about how a guy looked in practice. You still got guys that aren't showing up because this is voluntary. This isn't involuntary. This is voluntary. Everybody's not even there, all right? This is more about everybody coming together, everybody seeing their old chums. Hey, man, what's up? I haven't seen you since last season, all right? Guys are coming in, getting some work in the weight room. It's still not something that I'm really that keen on. So anyway, let's get to your comments. Redskin Highlight says, Will Compton is a free agent. I'm good on Will Compton, man. I'm good. I am good. Reese says, Hard Knocks is fun. I love the year my boys were on. You'll enjoy it, Lou. You're probably right. I just don't want any parts of it. Redskin Highlight says, I got out of the ER from a fractured arm, and the first thing I see is Foster. Damn, you need to heal up your damn self and be careful. And yes, Reuben Foster is gone for the season. Ryan Heath says, heard Haskins look much better than Keenum in practice. Do you feel like if this keeps up, Haskins will be the guy? No, because it's OTAs. And again, now if this were to take place in training camp and into the preseason, and we actually got to see it tangibly in a game, then yeah. Because again, Haskins is a guy that they want to start. The organization, not Jay, I'm talking about Bruce, Dan, and the likes. They want to start Haskins. They want him to start, but he's got to earn it. And Jay isn't going to just throw him out there if he's not ready. If Haskins is clearly the best quarterback or it's close, I think he's going to get the nod week 1. I'd hate to see it, though, because that first 5 weeks of the season is a murderer's row. Like, who wants to start 1-4 with your rookie losing confidence? Like, that's not cool. Let Case eat those L's, potentially. And then after that stretch, you can say, all right, let's see what the young guy has. And then that's when you get the Buffaloes and the Miamis. And that's when he can build up a little bit of confidence and maybe you get on a little bit of a run. Who knows? I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Just Andre says, Cole Holcomb time. Do not want Mason Foster on the field this year. Well, you're probably going to have to take some Mason Foster anyway. All right. Mason isn't going anywhere. Mason is here for a reason. They like Mason Foster, and they're going to shove more Mason down your throat. And I'm not opposed to it. I don't have a problem. Some of you do. I don't have a problem with Mason Foster. I don't. Redskin Highlight says, do you see anything of Zeke making that guy flop? No, I don't. Unless the NFL is on a witch hunt. The guy didn't even get arrested. They just put cuffs on him. He should be fine. I hope they don't do anything because they shouldn't have done anything to him the first time. That was bogus as well. So let's see now. Reese says, I didn't want any part of Hard Knocks either, Lou, but that was until my Bucks were on it. I had such a blast watching it. It was exhilarating. It was an exhilarating 5 weeks. I'd love to be on it again. You're selling me just a bit. And I told you, I think I know how this movie ends. If the Redskins got up there, I would be dying to watch every episode. As a matter of fact, I can tell you this right now. If you're out there watching, if the Redskins end up on Hard Knocks, we're going to do a Hard Knocks series here on the Louie T Network. We're going to break down every single episode. The second that episode airs and goes off, you can come here live and we're going to break that thing down and talk about it. So you already know. That was horrible. What's going to go down if the Redskins end up on Hard Knocks? We're going to do a series here chronicling the Redskins on Hard Knocks. That being said, Gregory Lightbody says, how do you feel about the Bucks releasing Gerald McCoy? I mean, again, we don't need interior defensive line help. So, I mean, if you're asking me how I would feel about that concerning the Redskins, I'm good. You know, he would land somewhere else and he'd be a hot commodity because I think he could still play and think it's some good football still left in Gerald McCoy. Ben O'Flaherty says, Mason Foster can't cover for crap and JHC can't stop the run. Who's going to cover the tight ends next year? This is the thing. That's why you would have to play with the down and distance situations. First and second down, Mason Foster's on the field. Third down, you would put JHC in the game. So that's how you would have to play around with that. And eventually, you'll get comfortable enough to put Cole Holcomb in the game, and you'd hope that he'd be able to maybe do a little something in both of those situations and not have to come off the field. But, I mean, that's why a lot of people were excited about Reuben Foster because he could do both. And in this day and age, you need a linebacker that can do both. And maybe Sean Deion Hamilton can do a little something. I wasn't all that impressed with him before the injury at Alabama in coverage. I like him in zone coverage. I don't like him running man-to-man with linebackers. And so, again, we have a problem on our hands. We'll see what happens and what the Redskins elect to do. But now they have decisions to make. That being said, that's it for your man Louie T, man. Reuben Foster, reportedly torn ACL, done for 2019, and I'm not surprised. Are you? I'm not, and honestly, I'm not affected by this. I'm unaffected because he hasn't played it down for the Redskins. It's similar to the Junior Gillette situation, and also, how do you feel about the Redskins potentially being on Hard Knocks? Leave it in the comment section. How do you feel about the injury to Reuben Foster? I know some of you feel like we're cursed. How do you feel about the injury to Reuben Foster? I really am indifferent. Again, hasn't played it down for the Redskins. Came to the Redskins as an injury-prone linebacker. He got injured. Go figure. We signed a receiver from Seattle last year in Richardson. Paul Richardson came over, injury-prone. What did he do? Got injured. You can't be surprised when these things happen, folks. You want to know what the surprise was of last year? Alex Smith getting injured because he didn't get injured in Kansas City. He had one concussion in Kansas City. He had a concussion in San Francisco. That was it. He doesn't get injured. He doesn't break legs. He doesn't snap his leg like a twig. That's not what Alex Smith does. And he comes here and he gets injured. So that was a surprise because he didn't have an injury history. Reuben Foster does, and it came and it bit him in the ass. I'm not surprised. But how do you feel about the Redskins potentially being on Hard Knocks? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Leave it down in the comment section below. Love to see how you guys feel about Hard Knocks and Reuben Foster. And now the state of the Redskins linebacker situation. That's somewhat in the air. Still think they are comfortable with Mason Foster, Sean Deion Hamilton, JHC, and Cole Holcomb going into the season. They may have to add a guy. Maybe somebody that's undrafted now has a chance in a window. Maybe they shrink the linebacker position and only go with 4, and that opens up a roster spot elsewhere. I don't know. Now questions are open. I'm your man, Louie T. Remember, I am a Redskins fan etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. Hey, Tones, we're thinking about you and your family, man. Prayers going up, blessings coming down. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Louie T Network.